Really?
My sentiment to see you that club. Okay.
Okay, because you don't have one.
I think that was a girl told you.
Wait a second. Madam Chair, on behalf of Team UMNO Sexy, and especially having a mother on closing opposition, Madam Chair, we are very proud to fight for the rights of mothers worldwide, nationwide, within this country, Madam Chair. We think it's very important within this debate to identify where the burden of carrying a child lies and where the psychological, physical, and emotional burden lies within this debate, Madam Chair. Because side-opening government want you to believe that within this debate, or within their idealist concept, that both the father and the mother carry this burden, Mr. Speaker. We concede to the fact that the father might carry a certain amount of burden. But in a debate where you might reach a deadlock at the end of the day, in a debate where the decision might not be made so quickly as to have within a 9-month period, we think the ultimate say within this debate should lie with the mother. And we'll stand proud in that, Madam Chair. No, thanks, actually. Let's look at first within this debate what Ranjani had gone. Because what we seem to understand from Ranjani's speech is very simple. Because it seemed to us that even she didn't believe what she was trying to tell us. Because number one, let's look at this idea of her argumentation of where if they continue with this proposal, they're going to provide support and moral, psychological support to the mother. They have to prove to us within this debate that isn't already existing within status quo. No thanks. Because at the moment, Madam Chair, we don't disagree that we think these parents or these mother or these fathers should go for psychological help, should go for consultations and all that. But we believe at the end of the day, something that Ranjani still didn't answer throughout the speech, when there is an issue of a deadlock within the 12-month period, because this is a time-sensitive consideration, then who gets to choose? Because under their logic, if no one gets to choose, ultimately the father wins. The father who wants the child wins, because by the time 9 months come, like it or not, that baby has to come out. Like it or not, that baby has to be born. We think that's extremely important consideration to make, and we think the ultimate say has to lie with the mother. Yes, please.
But in the case where the mother actually wants the child and the father wants an abortion, the mother ultimately after 9 months also wins under our proposal. So
yes,
that's the deadlock that we want, and that's the deadlock that ensures that the child gets a check and balance to his life.
Look, I'm going to do this later on. But ultimately, we believe, yes, the mother should have the final say. Because we believe, yes, the mother has the bigger psychological and emotional burden. And I'm going to look into two of my substantives later on, where we're going to look into the long-term parts of the family and the relationship between the child and the mother, but not only the child, but not only that particular child, but other children within that family as well, because they wanted to talk about the marriage. Yes.
So now you're telling us that the consequences of abortion is that there is no emotional effect on the mother, there is no psychological effect, there is no physical effect, and that the father shouldn't be around with that.
No, we think the father should very well be around. So try to understand what we're trying to say. We think the father, well, we think it's fantastic if the father is around, the father wants to help, because the context within open government is the marriage. We think the father already is around, already is consulted when it comes to abortion. But we think ultimately the decision has to only be with the mother. We think that isn't a, well, what we're trying to say is that we're not saying that the father has to be shut up completely. We think it's beautiful the father wants to be involved within that abortion process. But importantly, try to understand is that it has to be the mother's ultimate decision when it comes to a deadlock. And when it comes to raising that particular child, if the decision is whether he should not be aborted or not, right? But let's look at this idea of a support platform, and they seem to think this provides a support platform. We don't think that's already not existing currently in status quo. We think that support platform already is there within status quo to provide for consultation in the form of abortion. I won't say because you got my name wrong, right? Mr. Speaker. And then let's look at this idea of, because Faris tried to draw a picture to you that, now is a world where equally fathers and mothers are involved within the child-bearing process and, the child upbringing process. We don't think that's necessarily true within status quo, Mr. Madam Chair. We think even currently in the status quo, the father still is a distant figure. When it comes to raising a child, when it comes to providing a child, don't buy into his life because you want to draw a picture where the father is equally responsible, right? Isolated case. Because I said father is a nice man, but that's not the case within a large majority of fathers right now, Mr. Speaker. Most fathers, yes, at that moment, fine, I want to have a child, you need to give birth to that child. But at the end of the day, then most of the time, the fathers just leave the mother, or just the father just at the end of the day decide to not raise that particular child, not give the support system that they want. No thanks. I'll go into my substantive. There's two very important things when we talk about a particular family institution within the debate. Number one, we're going to identify why necessarily this decision has to lie with the mother. Because, Madam Chair, looking at this from a very maternal perspective, I should know. Well, right? But looking at this from a very maternal perspective, there are significant long-term consequences when the mother who doesn't want to have a child or who wants to abort a particular child is forced into by a father who wants to have a child. Because there are very different considerations when someone or when a particular mother wants to abort a child. Something that side-opening government hasn't really considered. Because a mother, most of the time, and I believe this is extremely true, knows what's best for a child within this debate. Because there are very, very different considerations that are taken by both the parents, despite them sharing these decisions. We think, fine, a father can be consulted during an abortion, but the ultimate consideration is usually lies with the mother. And when the mother is forced to have a particular child, we think there are long-term consequences for that individual child. Like what? Number one, like the fact that that child is possibly going to be persecuted by the mother, by the mother who didn't want that child in the first place. We think this is extremely dangerous for that child to be born into a family that doesn't even want you, to be raised by a mother that doesn't love you, to be brought up by a mother who thinks that you are a burden to her. We think this is extremely important and extremely dangerous for a child's psychological upbringing and in the end for that child to be raised as an individual. We think these are all very harmful things when considering that ultimate say is no longer with the mother. But secondly, also to children, and this is really a harm to the family institution itself. Because even in a family that has a child that the mother believes shouldn't be there in the first place, it's also harmful to other children within that family, Madam Chair. We think other children will then, be considered or will consider that particular brother or sister of hers is not a legitimate brother or sister because the mother didn't want her in the first place. You'll have situations where mother telling you, look, I didn't want your sister, but daddy wanted her, right? We think these are all very, very significant harms to when you decide or you allow a father to have ultimate say because it's a precondition. The mother can't abort the child unless the father says so, Madam Chair. We think at the end of the day, in what's in the best interest for the upbringing of this child, we think this are the house to the debate. But more importantly, in terms of what's more important for the mother, we think because of the fact that the burden lies with the mother to carry the child, to bring up the child, we think that ultimate say should lie with the mother, should lie with the mother. And on Team UMNO Seksi, we are very, very proud to oppose this.